What's going on YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. Hope you guys are having a great day. And today we are going to be spending some time with a client and actually a dear friend as well, Ryan Park. Welcome. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Doing good.
So as good as you can be, I imagine, with the situation that you're dealing with. I know it's pretty stressful. You've been going through this now. For how long have you been dealing with your case, Ryan?
It was since May 17th of 2018 was the FBI raid. For a while, I was actually involved in a insurance fraud ring. It was staged car accidents, and I was one of the participants. I was involved in that for quite a while. On May 17th of 2018, there was a surprise FBI raid on my house. I was not at home. I was actually headed to work, and my wife and my daughter were at home. I saw the video through, we have a security system through our doorbell, so I can actually see, who's standing at my front door. And I saw an FBI agent standing there at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was definitely a scene out of the movies. I'm watching it live on video. It was very surreal. That you're sitting there, you're watching SWAT teams around your house, you don't know what to do, you're just frozen. I didn't know what to do. At that point, I wasn't kidding myself. I knew exactly what I was involved in. I wasn't in denial. I was actually having a severe panic attack. I knew why they were there. I knew at that point I tried to find an attorney. For the amount of people that were actually involved in my particular ring, for being in Spokane, Washington, attorneys were starting to become very, very scarce because there's so many.
How many people are involved? I know you can't name names, but how many people are kind of wrapped up in your whole conspiracy?
The indictment involved 22 people. Went and found an attorney. I had a lot of attorneys kind of telling me like, well, that's only if you get indicted. That's, they were trying to tell me. And I actually bluntly told a lot of attorneys like, look, I'm going to be indicted. So I'm going to need an attorney. I'm going to need someone to represent me. I'm going to need this. I had a couple attorneys flat out tell me some things like, well, if this was state, I shouldn't be worried. But since it is federal, this is a very serious matter. Finally found an attorney, great attorney. Everything was great. He definitely helped me, has helped me on the legal side. How I found you was actually one of my many nights I would be staying up, watching YouTube, surfing the internet, trying to find answers. This is when I would lock myself in a room, dark room, watch movies all day long, very depressed. And I actually came across your YouTube video. And one of the questions I was asking is because you can't really find a lot of information online as far as, what to expect when you go to jail, what happens. The only thing that I can think about is what you see in movies. I mean, that's all I can really base it on. I'm the kind of guy, I've never been in handcuffs. I've never been in a bar fight, never got pulled over drunk driving, nothing. I've never even been in court. So I had no idea what to expect. And I came across a YouTube video. And I figured, this guy seems like he knows kind of what he's talking about. So I'm going to send him a message. So I went to your website, saw that you actually live in Spokane. What? So I actually remember sending you a message saying, hey, I live in the same town as you. That's when I got to meet you. And that's when you introduced me to Jenny and CJ. And I can definitely tell that my attorney has helped me from a legal standpoint, and you have definitely helped me accept accountability. When this all first happened, it was because of the amount of people and because of where I kind of was on quote unquote the totem pole. I was thinking there's no way I'm going to be in this much trouble. And there's so many more people that have done way worse than me. And so it was very hard for me to accept that accountability for the choices I've made and for the position I put myself in. And with the guidance from definitely you, Jenny, and definitely my attorney is also kind of kicking me in the pants too, teaching me how to accept accountability as far as this process goes. And it's definitely been a hard process. I'm still trying to swallow that pill, and but definitely with everyone's guidance, it's really helped.
So tell us a little bit about, I know you said your state of mind, you were kind of not taking it too seriously in the beginning. Serious enough, obviously, to hire an attorney. but did you think the possibility of prison time was realistic when this first started?
No, no. To be honest now, I justified my crime. I said, look, I'm not harming anyone. No one's lost their job. It's not costing people money. I haven't spent someone's life savings. There's no violence. There's no nothing. So I'm probably going to get a slap on the wrist. I might even be able to keep my house.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So you said you did this for a period of, how many years would you say this spanned over?
9 years.
So 9 years you were involved in insurance fraud. And as you stated, it was staged car accidents, other staged events, basically any type of staged event where you had multiple people involved. Somebody would drive the car, somebody was in another car, but all parties were more or less involved. When you were doing this, were you using any of the justification as, I'm doing this to provide for my family? I have to do this in order to pay my bills. Take us through that. Tell me how some of that thought process, how you convinced yourself to do this over and over and over again.
I participated in insurance fraud, and I did that so I can provide a house for my family. But at the end of the day, I still committed a crime. And that was the hard part, to actually justify that, saying, even though my reasons were justified in my own head, I still committed a very, very serious crime. For the longest time, I convinced myself that, look, I'm not that bad of a guy. I didn't murder anyone. I didn't rob anyone. I didn't steal from someone. And the reality is, I'm a criminal. I broke a law. I broke a very serious law. I broke a lot of serious laws. Not just one, but many. I broke a lot.
So when you look back on this, Ryan, you say to yourself, well, what you used to say to yourself is, I was doing this to provide a home. I was doing this to keep my daughter safe. And one of your co-conspirators happens to be your wife, correct?
That is correct.
Who is also more than likely looking at some federal prison time. And there's probably a good chance we'll have her on the show in the next couple of weeks once she gets a little further with her situation. But you guys are both looking at a significant amount of time. When you were telling yourself, I'm doing this to help my family, to provide for my family, tell me a little bit now, what's happening with your house?
The house is actually for sale right now. All proceeds, 100% of the proceeds are going to the government to pay toward the restitution.
So one of the justification you used was, I want to have this home for my family. Now, not only are you possibly going to prison, but you're also losing the home that you wanted for your family. You're also going to have to, both of you are going to have to look your daughter in the eyes and say goodbye to your daughter for a period of time. How do you look back now and reflect when you look back at what you were doing then? What would the future Ryan say to the past Ryan if you could go back?
I can tell you that it kind of summed it up. That actually my birthday was about a month ago. And my daughter actually wrote me a letter, and she said that she never thought that things could ever get better after what has happened in the past. And she said that this past year has been the best year of her life. It just hit me, like, it didn't matter about the house. It didn't matter about the money. It didn't matter about any of that kind of stuff. Even if I continued, even if the raid never happened and I continued going down that road that I was going down, I could actually have lost everything. It wasn't worth it. Nothing of this was worth it. Like, the most important things in my life were right in front of me the whole time, and I just never saw it. And the part of it where I justified, well, I'm doing this for my family, I'm doing this because I want to provide a house for them. Sad part is I was probably doing it for myself. I was doing it because I was selfish. I justified what I was doing because of my family, but in essence, I was doing it for myself. And that's the hard part, that I'm coming to that reality.
And I think that's really, that says a lot when somebody says they're accepting responsibility, because, you know, I went through the federal system. I meet people every day that are going through the federal system. And of course, nobody wants to go to prison. And at some point, the reality sinks in that you have options. You can go to trial, you can take a plea deal, and you start weighing out consequences versus rewards. And you start looking, if I don't take a plea, I'm going to go to trial. I'm more than likely going to lose because you know you're guilty of what they said that you did. So people look at taking plea deals in order to minimize. But taking acceptance of responsibility on a piece of paper just to get a shorter sentence versus the statements and the actions that you've displayed over the last several months are really apples and oranges, because when you talk about the type of acceptance and the type of responsibility that you're taking now, and understanding that you didn't do this for your family, you didn't do this for anybody else, that may have been your excuses then, but deep down inside, the reason was it made you feel better to be able to have all of these things that you technically received with ill-gotten gains. And I think just opening that up the way you have and owning that, I think that goes a long way with anybody that's paying attention to how you're progressing through this.
After working with you and Jenny, Jenny talking to us once a week. We've been doing that since June of 2018. We've been talking to Jenny once a week, and things have come to the surface, and it's been great. And actually, that's one thing that both my wife and I have said is we're actually the closest we've ever been right now. I mean, from the time we first met to now, we're the closest that we've been over the past year. That truth is coming out. I'm accepting it. I'm accepting that I've hurt a lot of people. I'm accepting that it's tough to say, but I might have ruined a part of my daughter's life. I mean, and that I'm having her mom ripped away from her. I'm having her house ripped away from her. I'm having her dog ripped away from her because of the choices that I made. And trust me, it's been a long road, but things are getting better. We're spending a lot of quality time together. Every single day we go for hikes. We walk together as a family. We eat dinner together as a family. And there was something I actually said to my wife laying in bed the other night. I said, why did it take this whole situation? Why did it take this situation for us to get to this point? And she said something that really hit me. She said, this had to happen. And that's the truth. It's the truth that FBI had to kick open my front door.
It's called hitting rock bottom. So March of this year, you pled guilty. And what did you plead guilty to? What were the charges that you pled to?
I had 50 counts, and a lot of them included mail fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy, Medicare fraud, identity theft. I pleaded guilty to 20 counts. 16 of them were mail fraud. 2 of them were, I believe, bank fraud. And then 2 of them were the monetary transactions, which it was a transaction over $10,000.
And at the time of pleading guilty, with the guilty plea you had in place, at that time, how much time did that carry based on what the government was offering?
After the acceptance, after the down departures and all that, I was at 26. So months, I think that was between 63 and 78 months, I believe. So it was like 5.5 to 6.5 years.
So level 26, 63 to 78 months. And then you had your pre-sentence interview. Well, what happened with the probation officer? What type of recommendation did he make after all of this, which kind of changed the dynamics of what you're looking at?
I got an updated one. My attorney sent me one, and all of a sudden I saw there was additional 10 more pages. I went through it, trying to figure out what was going on. I knew it was my level of guideline level increased significantly. What? And I thought that once you take a plea, that's it. Well, come to find out that plea, I guess it's between you and the prosecutor. That's an agreement between you and the prosecutor. Court is a separate entity. So the court can have their own investigation, which is the probation officer. And then what they do is that they see everything that you have done or everything you've been involved in. So the plea is locked in, but the judge is still seeing your full criminal list. And I'm like, great. So basically that bumped me up to, it was like a level, I want to say it was a level 35 or 34. Then after the downward departures, it got down to like a 31. So that's between 10 and 12 years. And I wanted to throw up. The simple fact is I participated in something pretty serious. I know I committed a very serious crime. And when I see what kind of time I'm looking at, yeah, I really did commit a very serious crime. But I'm looking
at now you're looking at 108, potentially up to 135 months. That's the range that you're at now. Well, based on the recommendation from probation. I know you're still going back and forth waiting to see where that's going to fall, but I can't imagine what it's like to finally get your mind focused on, okay, I'm going to prison potentially for 5 years, 6 years, and you finally come to terms with that. to now be bumped up to potentially, like you said, double. Let me ask you a question, Ryan. Do you feel you and Kimmy deserve to go to prison?
We definitely committed a crime, and whatever the sentence the judge imposes will be fair. If I am sent to prison and the judge deems that that's where I should be, I will use that time. That actually, there's a couple of things I've actually started looking into. I've heard that there's some great programs in prison. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to read a lot more. Definitely going to get my health back in shape. So if the judge does deem that that's what is fair, then I'll accept it.
I think that's a fair statement because, of course, if I ask the question, do you want to go to prison? We already know that's going to be no. Nobody wants to go to prison. But the situation you're involved in, it was several millions of dollars. The opportunity and the probability of you going to prison is clearly within the realm of possibilities. And this is the opportunity you have right now is you have no control over what that judge is going to do or say the day of sentencing. Everything that you've been doing, that we've been doing, that your attorney's been doing, other people that have been supporting you, no one's trying to do anything to get you out of trouble. Everybody's goal is, at least our goal, has been to help you take full accountability to see the consequences that you've created for yourself, for your daughter, including the consequences that your wife created for herself. She's not innocent in this. Yes, she made statements about, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, but she found a way to justify and keep moving forward, which we'll talk to her at a later day. And the beautiful thing is at the end of the day, Ryan, if you do get sentenced to prison, you'll have the ability to use that time. There's so many programs in prison that if you choose to take advantage of them, you can continue on this track that you're on of finding who you are and who you're going to continue to be. So on that magical day of release, you come home and you stay home because you're not going to find yourself in a situation like this ever again. People that get stuck in the victim mentality and it's not their fault and the government's coming down on them too hard or their attorney didn't do a good job or the prosecutor hates me or the judge had a bad day, those are the individuals that go into prison, have a bitter outlook, and they don't learn anything from this mistake to the point where they get out, they find ways to justify what they're going to do. I'm a convicted felon, nobody's going to hire me. So they immediately find themselves back into a life of crime. And shortly after that, they find themselves back in prison again. So I think you're taking the absolute proper attitude to create the best possible outcome for yourself and for your family. What would you tell somebody right now that's just found out they're either under investigation or they just got indicted, they know something serious is coming down the road? What information and what knowledge would you want them to know right now of some information that you wish you knew sooner in your situation?
Accept accountability. Just be at peace with it. I mean, I'm sure that there's cases out there where people are wrongfully indicted. I'm sure that that happens, but more likely if you're indicted, you did something. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you just say, you know what, I'm going to own it. I'm going to stop making excuses. I'm going to stop justifying it. I kept telling myself, well, I can't be that bad. I mean, there's people murder other people and I'm not like that. The judge is going to see that I didn't do that. The sooner you just accept it, like I broke the law and now I need to try to come clean about it and I need to better myself, the sooner you're going to be at peace with it. And I know when I was in that mindset, like, no, I'm not a bad person. I did this to save my house. I did this. I was actually miserable. I never slept. I'm actually sleeping again, which is odd. And I'm actually sleeping and I'm just at peace with it. I can't tell you at the time of sentencing how much of a peace I'll be, but maybe knowing it will finally bring peace to it. But I can tell you as of right now, I'm just at peace. I committed a crime. I'm going to go serve my time. I'm going to get out and I'm going to be a better person. And that's what I'm just going to just stay positive.
Well said. Great advice. Great attitude. Ryan, I love you. I'm very happy that you agreed to do this. I know we've been talking about doing this for months and months and months, and it's been very hard for you to open up and share your story with others. I think it's so important what you said. We tell so many people, don't compare yourself to murderers, rapists, violent criminals, because when you do that, you put yourself in this thought process that somehow this is all going to fix itself and they're going to see that I'm not a bad guy. and I'm not going to end up going to prison. And you've realized that you made some very poor choices. You weren't the best person in the world, or else you wouldn't be in this situation. So I think you've taken some honest accountability. You've really showed truth in what this system is about. And whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The one thing I do know is you're not going to lay in your bunk and wonder what could you have done different. You're going to know that you explored every option possible to not just shorten your sentence, but to also make peace with yourself and realize that whatever happens is supposed to happen because I put myself in this situation.
Yep.
All right, guys, I am RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. We will make sure to get some updates from Ryan, maybe do a few more videos with him and his wife in the future. If you guys have any questions or you would like to send Ryan any messages, please do it through the comment section on this video. Don't forget to like this video, share this with anybody that you know that's going through something, because I promise you they will find a way to relate to this. All right, everybody, have a great day. Peace.